Hello, my wonderful viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Samuel, your maths tutor, and I'll be taking you through various mathematics topics across various levels of education, like primary school mathematics topics in the secondary school, as well as A-level maths topics. I'll also be solving mathematics past questions across these levels. So if you are new to this channel, I will encourage you to subscribe to my channel so that you'll be the first person to receive any mathematics video I'll put out there. Also like and share my videos to friends and relatives. Viewers, what are we doing today? Today we are going to look at how we can use completing the square method to solve quadratic equation. How we can use completing the square method to solve quadratic equation. So let's start with first example. Solve the quadratic equation. Solve the quadratic equation. 2x squared plus 5x plus 2 equal to 0. Good. Now, how do you use completing the square method to solve this quadratic equation? Now, in using this method to solve quadratic equation, the first thing to do is to make sure that the coefficient of x squared is 1. So if the equation is given to you and then the coefficient of x squared is not 1, you have to make sure that you make the coefficient become 1. And how do you make the coefficient of the quadratic equation become 1? By dividing each term there by the coefficient of x squared. So if the coefficient is not 1, to make it 1, we need to divide each term by the coefficient of x squared so that the coefficient becomes 1. So at this point, the coefficient is 2 of the x squared is 2. So we are going to divide each, divide here by 2, divide here by 2, divide here by 2, divide here by 2. So this will cancel that, x squared left there, plus 5 on 2 attach x, plus 2 on 2 is 1, 0 over anything is 0. Good. So at this point, we are able to make the coefficient of x squared become 1. Now, what's the next thing to do? The next thing to do is to take the constant term to the right side of the equal to sign. These are steps. First step, make sure the coefficient of x squared is 1. Second step, you take the constant to the right side of the equation if it's not there. Good. So it's plus 1. It goes here because minus 1. So you're going to have x squared plus 5 on 2x equal to minus 1. Good. Now, what's the next thing to do at this point? Having been able to take the constant to the right side of the equal to sign. Now, the next thing to do is to find half of the coefficient of x. Find half of coefficient of x. So half times coefficient of s. Coefficient of s is 5 on 2. So multiply half by the coefficient of s squared. And this is equal to 1 times 5 is 5. 2 times 2 is 2. So after finding half of the coefficient of x, we therefore square the answer that we are getting. Now at this point, what do we do with that square number? Now we are going to add the square number we are getting there to both sides of the equal to sign. So we add this one here, x squared plus 5 on 2x plus that square number, 5 on 4 all squared is equal to minus 1 plus the square number 5 on 4 all squared. Then at this point, let's maintain the left side expression and let's simplify the right side. So we have x squared plus 5 on 2x plus 5 on 4 all squared is equal to minus 1 plus, now the square here is affecting both the numerator and the denominator. So 5 squared will give us 25, then 4 squared will give us 16. Now we are going to add these two fractions. And then we factorize the left side of the equal to sign. Now, because we find half of the coefficient of x, and then we square the result, and then we added it to this side, giving us this expression. It's making this whole expression a perfect square quadratic trinomial. It's making this whole expression a perfect square quadratic trinomial. It's trinomial because we have 3 terms here. Why is trinomial? But it's a perfect square. Good. So we have a special way of factorizing this perfect square quadratic trinomial. So how do you factorize perfect square quadratic trinomial? Now, at this point, just open a bracket here. This is how you factorize it. Open a bracket here. Then you bring the variable that is being squared. Bring that variable here, which is x. Bring your sign plus here, this sign. Then the constant number that is being squared, bring that number here. 5 on 4. Close the bracket and then you square the bracket. And this is equal to addition of fraction. Find LCM 16. Don't forget this one is the same as over 1. So 1 goes into 16. 16 times minus 1 minus 16 plus 16 goes into itself 1 times 25. That will give 25. So we have s plus 5 on 4 all squared is equal to minus 16 plus 25. That gives what? 9, right? All divided by 16. We are solving for x, but the x is squared in that bracket. So before we can solve for x, the square must go off. And how do you take off the square? We use the square root to take off a square. So that means that you're going to give a square root to both sides of the equal to sign. Or we say square both sides of the equal to sign. So we square this side of the equation. We give a square root to this side of the equation. S plus 5 on 4 all squared, square root here. Give a square root also here. Then this one will cancel the square. We have s plus 5 on 4. Good. Now, you find this one is a square root of 9 on 16. So the square root is affecting the numerator and then the denominator. So square root of 9, square root of 16. The square root of 9 is 3, and square root of 16 is 4. Good. But whenever you find a square root of any number, it's plus or minus. So we have plus or minus. This one is 3 on, and the that one is 4. So in order to solve for x, we must take 5 on 4 to the right side of the equal to sign. This is going to give us x equal to minus 5 on 4 is plus, comes with a minus. So plus or minus 3 on 4. So at the end of the day, now the equation given is a quadratic equation. And because it's a quadratic equation, we solve for any quadratic equation, you get 2 answers for the equation. So at this point, how do you get the 2 answers for x? Now you know we have 2 signs here, plus or minus. So you're going to separate each of them and then add or subtract the 2 fractions. And this will give us the 2 values of x. So at this point, let's separate plus and minus. So that thing here, this one implies that x is equal to minus 5 on 4. Let's use plus first, then after we use minus 3 on 4. So x will be equal to, find the LCM, 4 into 4, 1 times that, minus 5 plus 4 into 4, 1 times 3, 3. And this is equal to minus 8 on 4. And this is minus 2. The next one, this also implies that x is equal to minus 5 on 4 minus 3 on 4. You find the LCM here. That is 4 minus 5 minus 3. Sorry for this one. This is minus 2. That is minus 5 plus 3. That's minus 2. And this will give us minus half. Now, this 2 minuses will give us minus 8. And then 4. And this is equal to minus 2. Good. So sorry for this one. Good. So at the end of the day, we have been able to use completing the square method to solve the given quadratic equation. So this is how we use completing the square method to solve quadratic equation. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you.